Hello everyone, I'm Josh Garrett, and in this video, we're going to look into loops in JavaScript. Now imagine you're a developer at a startup and you have just been handed a task. You need to generate a report that displays the daily sales figures for the past week. Now how do you do this efficiently without writing repetitive code for each day? That's where loops come into play. Today we're diving into one of the most essential parts of programming, that's loops. In this video, we'll cover the basics of loops in JavaScript, including for loops, while loops, and even a quick look at do-while loops. We'll also discuss common pitfalls that can lead to bugs and show you some practical examples so you can write clean, efficient code. So let's get started on our journey to mastering loops in JavaScript. Loops are used to execute a block of code repeatedly, which is super useful when you want to iterate over arrays, repeat tasks, or perform actions until a condition is met. In JavaScript, the most common loops you'll encounter are the for loop, while loop, and do-while loop. Let's kick things off with the for loop. Here's what's happening. First is the initialization. Let I equal to 0 sets up our loop counter. Then our condition. I is less than 5 means the loop will run as long as I is less than 5. Thirdly is the iteration. I++ increments the counter by 1 after each loop. It's basically the same as saying variable I equals to I plus 1. This loop, which you have just created, will print the iteration number from 0 to 4. Next up, we got the while loop. Unlike the for loop, a while loop only requires a condition, which makes it perfect when you don't know beforehand how many iterations you will need. The loop continues as long as count is less than 5. And it's really important to always update the condition variable inside the loop to prevent an infinite loop. There's also the do-while loop. It's similar to the while loop, but it guarantees that the code block executes at least once before checking the condition. Even if the condition is false from the start, the code inside the do-while loop runs once. This can be useful when you need to ensure that certain actions are performed at least one time before going into a loop if a condition is met. Now I'd like to talk about some common bugs and how to avoid them. Firstly is obviously infinite loops. Infinite loops are loops that run forever. And because of that, it usually crashes your code. To avoid this, always double check that your loop's condition will eventually be set to false. And ensure you update your loop variable within the loop. For example, forgetting to include I++ in a for loop or count++ in a while loop can cause your code to hang. Second is off by 1 errors. These off by 1 errors are usually found when you're iterating through arrays. Here in this example, we have an array called items, which has apple, banana, and cherry. And the for loop starts at I equals to 0. But if we were to change this to I equals to 1, a bug will occur. Because arrays start at the value index of 0, instead of printing apple, banana, and cherry, it'll only print banana and cherry. To avoid off by 1 errors, verify your starting index and termination condition. And when looping over arrays, make sure that you remember that arrays are 0 indexed, which means they always start at 0. Thirdly, misplaced code. Make sure any code that needs to be executed in each iteration is placed inside the loop. Conversely, initialization code should be outside the loop to avoid unnecessary reassignments, except for the for loop. Now let's quickly recap what we have covered today. For loops, best when you know how many lines you want to iterate. While loops, great for situations where the number of iterations isn't predetermined. Thirdly, do-while loops. Use these when you need the code to run at least once. We also learned about bug avoidance, being mindful of infinite loops, off-by-one errors, and ensuring proper code placement. Now I hope you enjoy this video. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Check out this playlist for our JavaScript videos as well. Happy coding!